Good morning. Sorry we're running late. We had some technical difficulties. I'm County Judge Richard Cortez, Chairman of the Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1. And on March the 16th of 2020, Governor Greg Abbott granted a request by the Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton to temporarily suspend and limit the number of open meeting laws to the extent necessary to allow telephonic or video conference meetings in response to this COVID-19 matter. In accordance with those suspended rules, notice of this meeting of the Board of Directors of Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 has been posted online for at least 72 hours. Although members of the board are not gathered in a central physical location, we will have a quorum in attendance in this meeting by a video conference or telephone call. The board is meeting by the use of Zoom software and telephone transmission, which allows two-way communication for members of the public during the public participation forum. This meeting is being broadcast live online. As we would on any in-person meeting, members of the public who have followed the instructions on the meeting notice will be permitted to participate in the public forum portion of the agenda. If you would like to participate in the public forum at a future meeting conducted by video conference or telephone call, please follow the instructions on the posted meeting notice. All other meeting procedures would adhere to the board adopted procedures to the extent practicable. We apologize in advance for any unforeseen technical difficulties as we had this morning and ask for your patience as we navigate through these unprecedented conditions. The time now is 4 minutes after 10, and we will begin with a roll call to establish a quorum.
David Fuentes, Precinct 1.
Eddie Cantu, Precinct 2.
Joe Rodas, Precinct 3.
Ellie Torres, Precinct 4. Sorry, forgot to unmute.
No problem. Richard Cortez, County Judge, that constitutes a quorum.
Before proceeding, Judge, just one clarification. It's my understanding that the meeting currently is not being broadcast live due to some technical difficulties, but the meeting is being recorded and will be made available to the public as required by law.
Thank you very much, Mr. Pettis. Mr. Cicing, would you please lead us in prayer?
Yes, sir, Judge. Right, Father God, again, we give you many thanks for another day that you've allowed us to serve, Lord. Father God, we continue to, as we deal with this pandemic, we continue to seek your counsel, your guidance, and more importantly, your clarity, Father God. We continue to ask that you provide that guidance, that counsel, that wisdom, that clarity to the judge and four commissioners that you appointed to lead this great county, Lord. Just continue to grant them your peace also as they continue to make the decisions that affect us all, Lord. We continue to lift up the first responders, Lord. Continue to lift them up as they deal with the sick, not only the first responders, but their families as well, Lord. Continue to watch over them. Grant them your peace as they deal with the sick, Lord. We continue to pray for the sick, Lord. Continue to pray for their families as well, Lord. Put your healing hand upon them and hand upon them as well, Lord. And we also pray for those that have passed on, Lord. We continue to ask for your peace over their families, Lord, as they deal with their loss. We know, Lord, that the more we seek you, the more we will find you. We ask that you lead our surrendered hearts to the path of your peace today, Lord. We ask this all in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Did we have anybody sign up for open forum?
Not for drainage.
Mr. Lopez, is there anyone signed up for open forum? Okay, thank you.
Nobody for the drainage session.
Okay, then we'll move on to the approval of the consent agenda.
Judge, consent agenda, we have just normal operating items. We have some permits we're issuing that have been reviewed by my engineering team. And just some ratifications of some change order and some payment out to vendors that also have been reviewed by my engineering and my accounting team. Everything's in order.
I have a motion to approve.
Approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Item 5A.
Yes, sir. 5A, discussion, consideration, and action regarding the Dow County Edition Number 1 requirement for general public to wear mouth and nose covering when visiting ACD1 facilities, including parking lots during the declared local state of disaster due to public health emergency. So we're following suit of what the county has adopted or looking to adopt. We're in the face mask coverings. As you know, we've issued that notice to all our staff as well. There's some, I guess, some questions that have come up, and the normal questions that we're getting are, regarding the mouth covering, and this is more of the county, not necessarily the public, but do we continue wearing only in common areas? That's one of the questions. Is it required in your office? Is it required in a cubicle, in vehicles while driving? How many employees per vehicle are allowed? So those are the questions that we're receiving. We'll be answering those questions with our staff and providing guidance as we have been through this time. One of the requests that we would like to make is we don't have we're not like a tax office or something where we have a lot of people coming in and out. A lot of our work is done by appointment, basically, and we have a lot of communication with engineers and so forth, contractors, and we do that by appointment. So we'd like for the board to consider that we keep our lobby closed until this local state of disaster passes. We're still operating as normal. We're still having Zoom meetings or conference call meetings. Work is still getting done. Obviously, if we need to meet with someone, we can definitely advise them of the mask wearing, and then by appointment only, and have them come in. So, but we'd like to continue with our current operation, having the lobby closed.
You need a motion on that?
I would like, yes, to approve that with that statement. Council, any comments?
Yeah, the only action you can really take is with regard to the general public to wear mouth and nose coverings when visiting the facilities. And I think with respect to the lobby being closed off to the public, that's more of an informational and not necessarily an item that the board needs to take action on.
Correct.
I make a motion to approve 5A1.
Again.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And item 2 is discussion duration action adopted the Dow County Edition Number 1 additional work-related standard conduct mouth and nose covering requirement for district employees during the declared local state of disaster due to public health emergency. Again,
Motion approved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item B, requesting approval to create 10 temporary maintenance 1 positions not to exceed 268 working hours and set hourly rate of $13.27. And this is basically, we're entering our hurricane season next month. So we end up putting staff, bringing staff temporarily on for the season to help us during that time. So
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
thank you. Item 2, pursuant to the board's approval, create temporary maintenance 1 positions. Requesting approval of a revised salary schedule and budget amendment to fund temporary positions at an amount of $115,733.10.
So moved. Second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item C1, requesting exemption from fitted bin requirements under Texas Local Urban Code 262.02484 for veteran drink services.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 2, presentation of scoring grid of the firms created through the dispatch pool of qualified engineering district pool of pre-qualified professional engineers for the purpose of ranking by the board of directors in connection with professional construction material testing, service on call on an as-needed basis, required for documentation of projects. The ranking BDC Engineering, Isaguirre Engineering Group, LLC, and Alpha Infrastructure Engineering, PLC. The board which rank is stated.
So moved.
Again.
We have a motion and a second to approve to accept the scoring as it's presented. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 3, pursuant to the board's approval, requesting authority for Dow Foundation 1 to negotiate a professional service agreement with the number 1 ranked firm, EBZ LLC, for the provision of special material testing for service on call and estimate basis for Dow Foundation 1 projects.
So move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
6A, requesting exemption from bid requirements, textual government code 262.02484 for professional engineering services to KCI Technologies, Inc. for the provision of professional engineering services for the Fayetteville Drain 2018 bond referendum project 11A through contract number CATD 11903800521.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
You want to say something, Owen? Or
Yes,
someone?
we're doing here, well, no, what we're doing here, Judge, is the council would lay this out because in the next, we're gonna state that KCI is taking over the work that Lantec was awarded. They've been vetted through, they have the qualifications, the experience. We looked at the resumes, they're more than capable. However, Lantec, not only that, but Lantec is still retaining, they're still gonna be the same engineers we've been working with. It was just KCI bought out Lantec, but it's just the formal way to get it accomplished.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6.2, requesting acceptance and approval of supplemental agreement number 1 to contract number 8, CACD 11903800521 for the provision of professional engineering services for Fayetteville Drain 2018 bond referendum project 11A with Lantec Inc. to reflect an assignment in interest in the agreement from Lantec Inc. to KCI Technologies Inc. in granting authority for the district general manager to sign the consent to assignment of contract letter submitted by the parties. As I said, legal has reviewed it. We have no objection to it. Recommend approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item B1, requesting approval supplemental number 1 to the professional engineering service contract CATD 11903390521 with TESI Infrastructure Group Inc. for the project Fayetteville Drain 2018 bond referendum project 11B to reflect the revised exhibit D work schedule with an extended termination date of May 28, 2021. Subject to legal review and compliance, House Bill 1295.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 2, requesting approval supplemental agreement number 1 to work session number 1 of professional engineering services contract CATD 11903900521 with TESI Infrastructure Group, project Fayetteville Drain 2018 bond referendum project 11B to reflect the revised period of service to end May 28, 2021, subject to legal review compliance House Bill 1295.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
B1, requesting approval supplemental agreement number 1 to professional engineering service contract CATD 119040521 with TESI Infrastructure Group and the project JOA Drain 2018 bond referendum project 15A to reflect the revised exhibit D work schedule with an extended termination date of August 27, 2021. Subject to legal review and compliance, House Bill 1295.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
B2, requesting approval supplemental agreement number 1 to work session number 1 of the professional engineering service contract CACD 119040521 with TESI Infrastructure Group Inc. for project JOA Drain 2018 bond referendum project 15A to reflect the revised period of service ending August 27, 2021. Subject to legal review and compliance, House Bill 1295.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
7A, requesting approval supplemental agreement number 3 to agreement for professional engineering service with LNG Engineering as it relates to Palmer County Drain South Florida Water Channel Watershed Improvement Project to the amend contract to extend termination date August 31st, 2020. Subject to 1295.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
B, approval to issue payment on the following items, proceeding review and compliance with contract terms and conditions. Application for payment number one, the amount of $127,708.91. Castle Enterprise LLC pertaining to construction contract number ACD 1-18-0470-925, Alamo Expressway Drain Improvements. Everything's in order.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
C, requesting approval change order number one, reflecting an increase in the amount of $153,350 and no additional construction calendar days in connection with contract number CHD 1-19-077-1203, Dow County Drainage Division 1 project, Dow County Precinct 4, J09, Phase 4 Rural Drainage Development 2018 bond project with Moorville LLC as recommended project engineer, Mr. Sandoval from my office.
Yeah, we can give CARES money July, man.
Move for approval.
Is there a second? We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Bid award and approval to issue a purchase order to the lowest and most responsible bidder meeting all requirements specifications out of work pipe and supply LC. That's RFP number ACP 1-20-024-0401, purchase of one vertical axial flow pump subject to compliance with House Bill 1295.
Move for approval.
Approval.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
8B, thank you. Requesting approval of advanced funding agreement for voluntary local government contributions to transportation as it relates to transportation improvement project rehabilitation of FM 1425 rural facility from Business 83 to State Highway 107. Subject to final legal review. We've been working on this with TxDOT for over 18 months, I believe. We're going to be providing them with the pipes to do the crossings across several ditches that we currently
Question 16.
maintain. We're very local with Dow County Irrigation District number 9. They're going to be doing all the labor and so forth. So
One of them.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
We have a motion to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
we do have some small matters in executive session.
Okay, pursuant to Chapter D of the Chapter 551 of the Dutch Government Code, will be retired to closed session to discuss the items so listed. Any action to be taken will be taken in open session when we return. I have a motion to retire to closed session.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We'll be back.
And tell me to count him down when you're ready to go. Ready? We're live. 3, 2.
Okay, we're back from closed session. Are there any action items to be taken?
On item 10A, possible action offer settlement cost number CCD 0534F ACP 1 versus J.R. Garcia pending outcome quarterly number 6. Ivan?
Yeah, we're going to recommend that the board approve the settlement as discussed in the closed meeting and authorize the board chairman and the general manager to execute all settlement documents and closing documents necessary to effectuate the settlement.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
10B, possible action real estate acquisition will proceed as directed.
There'll need to be a motion to authorize the administration to proceed on as directed in the closed meeting.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I think that completes our agenda items.
Correct.
I have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. We are adjourned. I would like to now call the meeting of the Loudoun County Commissioners Court to order. Again, on March the 16th of 2020, Governor Abbott granted a request by the Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton to temporarily suspend a limited number of open meeting laws to the extent necessary to allow telephonic or video conferencing meetings in response to this COVID-19. In accordance with those suspended rules, the notice of this meeting of the Loudoun County Commissioners Court has been posted online for at least 72 hours. Although members of the commission are not gathered in the central physical location, we will have a quorum in attendance at this meeting by video conference. The commission is meeting by the use of Zoom software and telephone transmission, which allows two-way communication for members of the public during the public participation forum. This meeting is being broadcast live and it's online, at least, no, not today. I mean, it'll be broadcast because we're taping it. We had some technical issues. As we would on any other in-person meeting, members of the public who have followed the instructions of the meeting notice will be permitted to participate in the public forum portion of the agenda. If you would like to participate in a public forum at a future meeting conducted by video conference or telephone call, please follow the instructions on the posted meeting notice. All other meeting procedures will adhere to the board adopted procedures to the extent practicable. We apologize in advance for any unforeseeable technical difficulties and ask for your patience as we navigate through this unprecedented conditions. It is now 10:55, and I will call for a roll call to establish quorum.
David Fuentes, Precinct 1. And Judge, just to mention, we are live. Eddie got through Precinct 2.
Oh, we are live? Did we get back live? Okay. Mr. Flores, did Mr. Flores step out, or Commissioner Flores? Okay, Commissioner Flores.
Precinct 3.
Precinct 3, Commissioner
Flores, Precinct 4.
Flores, Commissioner Rich Cortez, our County Judge, that constitutes a quorum. Please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Almighty God, we know that everything is in your control. We ask you slow the spread of this new virus. Give government officials the wisdom to make the right choices. Protect healthcare workers and first responders as they help those in need. Help people decide to stay home instead of traveling or going out needlessly. Comfort families as they decide to keep their distance from the elderly or other high-risk family members. And watch over the families and friends who have succumbed to this terrible disease. In your holy name we pray, amen. Thank you. Because we've taken so long to get started, I'm going to move item 22, the open forum, to our number one item on the agenda. I believe we do have one person that has signed up.
Judge, I believe we have two participants.
Okay. Yeah, I think we need to start again because I did not hear a word.
Mr. Lopez, do we have our first participant for open forum?
Yes, sir. We've added them in the room. I think they. There you go.
Is it me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Well, I'm hoping that you can hear me, commissioners, because whatever we're paying for this program, they need to be paying us, I assure you. All right, do I start, Baldy?
I think we need to start again because I did not hear a word.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, I'm in the room. I think they.
Hello?
There you go. Is it me? Yes, ma'am.
Ms. Fern, please, you may start under the open forum.
They need to be paying us, I assure you. All right. All right, I'm ready. All right. How long is this commission going to keep buying equipment and hiring staff while implementing a shelter-in-place order? Businesses are closed. What?
You may start under the open.
Well, I was trying.
Ms. Fern, go ahead. There's a slight delay with the stream, so you can just talk into
All
the.
right. All right. I'm going to turn that off so I can't hear myself because it's late. Am I starting now? Here we go. How long is this commission going to keep buying equipment and hiring staff while implementing a shelter-in-place order? Businesses are closed and people are not making money to support their families while this commission keeps increasing salaries and hiring more people. I believe each and every one of you sitting up there have not missed a paycheck yet. Well, the rest of us don't make over $100,000 and we don't have any money coming in. Do you not understand that our property values are out and we all see the relationship between your spending and the increase in our property values and homes? The value on businesses and homes have increased from 22 to 45%, some even 100%. How do you expect a business to absorb 30% property value increase while their employees are sheltered in place? And I saw a school advertising breakfast and lunch grab bags. Children are going hungry while members of this commission buys pencils and carrying bags, monogrammed with the name of the commissioner and precinct on there. No matter how one looks at it, elected officials are using public money for political advertising. We will be asking a party to request an opinion from the AG concerning the expenditure of public money. And finally, commissioners, the public can see that you are spending all the money from Precinct 3 that we hear so that the new commissioner will not have any money to operate. We also know this is something that happens every time there's an election. In Precinct 4 it happened, and in Precinct 1. We were hoping that this wouldn't happen this time around. And then that's all I have for open forum, but I did some questioning on the agenda. So, Baldy, do I go ahead and do that now?
Yes,
My
ma'am.
questions?
Yes,
all right.
ma'am. And Ms. Fern.
All right. Yes.
And Ms. Fern, with that being said, with the open forum, there is a 3-minute time limit, but given the technical difficulties, I'm gonna add about a minute to your time. So please proceed with the items that you've signed up for public participation.
All right. Well, that's not supposed to be in my time. It's supposed to be extra. I have question 15B today, and my question is, Eddie Olivares is the head of the health department, and I would like to know why he is hiring so many people. He's hired 8 new ones, 4 new ones today, 4 more. 15B today, we've got a contract with the Department of State of Health Service and with the Hidalgo County. 20A, the CARE Act Relief Fund of $4 million. 21B1, Health Department, remodeling and repairing a county-owned modular building. Please explain these. Number 21B2, dedicating the area for a new lab, which will have 6 generators, going to have a public health system, medical record system, new testing and upgrading the autopsy facility. I thought we already paid a big price for that one on South 281. 21B3, again, the health department, leasing a mobile office trailer for 18 months for over $100,000. Why can't the department use their existing staff and reposition them? We would like to know how many members that the health department had before all of this virus. And what we would like to know is how can the health department defend how much they're spending when we only have 353 positive cases as of April 4th. I'm getting calls, and we would like you to explain each one of these, if you will, and not just vote them, but explain what it is, why we're doing it, and and I understand that it is a grant or free money from the government, but free money comes from the taxpayers. So would y'all please explain each one of these expenditures, please? Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Mr. Lopez, do we have any other participants for open forum?
Yes, we have one more caller. They should be on right now.
Thank you.
Hello?
Yes, ma'am. This is, ma'am, you're under public forum. There is a 3-minute time limit. Please begin, and I will advise when you have 1 minute left. Ma'am, you may begin under open forum.
Items that I'm concerned about. Good morning. My name is Janie Melendez, and the line item that I'm concerned about is line item 13B, which requires the general public to wear a mouth and nose covering when visiting county facilities, including parking lots, during the clear local state of disaster due to the public health emergency. Well, first of all, the CDC recommends for people to wear a mask to prevent the spread. And it's very important to also note that Governor Abbott, during his executive order, stated individuals are encouraged to wear appropriate face covering, but no jurisdiction can impose a civil or criminal penalty for failure to wear a face mask. I can understand you requiring a county employee because that would be under during their job description or whatever, but the general public, under the executive order issued by Governor Abbott, you wouldn't be able to fine or do any civil penalty. Now, you also have to take into consideration how mask coverings affect people's health. I don't think there's been enough. I myself suffer from severe asthma, and wearing a face covering is almost impossible because I can't breathe. The other thing is that the Hidalgo County has only had 341 confirmed cases out of, just look at the population, and only 6 deaths, as reported as got the statistics from your county site. I don't think that mandating is going to require anything. That's just my personal opinion. Of course, I'm not a medical doctor. Then we need to look at the effects that the state closure and the county closure has had, even on our medical facilities. I myself have had to go to the hospital a couple of times, and my PCP went from 5-6 days to only seeing people for 3 days because of lack of patients. And even when you go, there's hardly anybody there. Hospitals have had to let people go or even decrease hours. I go to physical therapy, and my therapist gets less hours because there's nobody there. Also, free clinics are advertising for people to start going in. COVID doesn't stop diabetes. COVID doesn't stop heart disease. COVID doesn't stop any of that. My other concern was line item 23, the direction regarding county government operations. Now, the governor executive order also wanted for local government operations, including county and municipal government operations relating to permits, recommendations, and document filing. Just last week, one of my friends tried to change the deed in one of your county offices, and the county employee told her that Hidalgo County offices would not be opened until late July or August. Why do we need county employees if they're not going to be working? And having to leave a property deed in a mailbox overnight, yeah, we don't want to do that, especially when we have to pay for that deed. And that's going to be expenditures already with people that are struggling. all of you are elected officials, and having people do enclosing offices, it's not warranted with the amount of cases that we have.
Can you center yourself?
And that's 3 minutes.
Precinct 2 is having someone in front of the camera.
Thank you. Mr. Lopez, do we have any other participants for open forum?
No, sir, that's all.
Thank you. Judge?
Item 4, the approval of the consent agenda. Do we have any items that need to be pulled? I know there's one. We can't hear you, Valde.
I would like to take out of order from consent agenda, item 4B, 9A, 10A and B, 11D, and 11J.
Move to approve without those items. Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Judge
You want to take
Commissioners,
those items, sir?
consent agenda item 4B. Yes, sir. Consent agenda item 4B, there is a minor correction. The dollar amount is $2,205.70 and not $2,205.20.
For approval.
We could have a motion to that effect.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 9, consent agenda item 9A, there is no action to be taken this week. I might go on. Item 10A and B. For the record, Commissioner Fuentes is abstaining from any discussion and or action under consent agenda item 10A and 10B.
May I have a motion to approve?
Second. First. What is it?
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Let the record show that Commissioner Fuentes abstained from any discussion or action on this item.
Item consent agenda item 11D. That is subject to final legal review.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And consent agenda item 11J will be discussed under the regular agenda under purchasing, further down the agenda.
You need action on it?
No, sir. It's just a disclosure that consent agenda 11J will be discussed under regular agenda purchasing further down the agenda. We'll get to that when we get to purchasing, Commissioner.
Okay. Item 5, District Attorney's Office.
No. Item 5A, DA's Office, Victims Assistance Program, Fund 1281. We're asking for approval to submit a budget adjustment to the Office of the Governor for grant number 2924303, Hidalgo County DA's Office, Victim Assistance Program.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 6A, HIDA Task Force, Fund 1251, Chapter 59. We're asking for authorization and approval to deobligate funds under HIDA Chapter 59 to correct agenda item number 73890, approved by Commissioners Court on January 14th, 2020.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a
For the
motion and a
record,
second to approve. I'm sorry, did I hear somebody?
no,
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Judge,
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Judge,
Item 7A, Sheriff's Office.
Good morning, Judge and Commissioners. This is Captain Friedland with the Sheriff's Office. Under item 7A, Part 1, we're requesting authorization and approval of interlocal cooperation agreement between the Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office and Progreso Police Department for equipment, services, and sharing. Under Part 2.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Under Part 2, authorization for county judge and county sheriff to sign the agreement.
Move for approval?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Under agenda item 7B, we're requesting approval of 2020 appropriation of funds into the Sheriff's CCP 59 Fund 1227 from the unassigned fund balance in the amount of $45,000.
Yeah.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Tax Office.
Not hearing any audio from you, tax office.
And probably just read the item.
Julio, for the tax office, if I may, since we're having audio issues. So under the tax office, there is a request and for an approval to reimburse Mr. Paul Villarreal in the amount of $357.27. There is a requisition number 413766 and Ms. Eva Mireles in the amount of $537.16 with requisition 413749 for the purchase of gloves, supplies needed to make masks, hand sanitizer, disinfectant spray, etc., with authority for county treasurer to issue check after review and auditing procedures are completed by our county auditor.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Item 9A, Constable Precinct 1.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Item 9, approval of the certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor in the amount of $791.65 for the 2020 peace officer allocation. Those funds awarded and received from the Texas Comptroller of Public Accounts and appropriation of the same.
Approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Judge.
Judge, Commissioners, if I may, for Constable Precinct 4, there is a request by Constable Precinct 4 for their Fund 1231 CCP 59 and its approval of 2020 appropriation of fund balance for Constable Precinct 4, Chapter 59 in the amount of $260,455.57.
Move for approval. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
If I may continue, for the IT department, there is a request for purchase of new wireless service plans through our county's membership participation contract, which is our DIR TSO 3415, and that is with Verizon Wireless, and it is for the district attorney's office and Constable Precinct 4 for a cell phone service and or a new cell phone and new data cards.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Moving on to item 12, 12A, 1 and 2, there is no action to be taken this week. Item 12B is approval to accept the settlement check from Allstate Insurance Company in the amount of $1,168.15, and this will settle an auto accident claim with one of our county vehicles.
Approval. Second.
We have motion and second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 13 is HR. Is Mr. Silguero on the line?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Raul Silguero, HR. Item 13A. First, we're requesting a waiver of the following, if applicable, for personnel items listed. 1, Civil Service Commission Rule Section 3.22, Hidalgo County Personnel Manual Section 6.27, and 3, Budget Amendment Policy for personnel-related amendments. I would like approval of those waivers, please.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
On item 13, I would like to go to 13B2 first, please. The item reads discussion, consideration, and action adopting the Hidalgo County additional work-related standards of conduct, mouth and nose covering requirement for county employees during the declared local state of disaster due to the public health emergency. Judge, Commissioners, during the month of April, we had the staff rotation program in effect. Beginning April 27th, we began a WorkSafe plan where departments submitted WorkSafe plans according to their needs, according to their situation. And I think this item is asking that we require masks for employees, specifically when they're in the break rooms and in the hallways, or when there's in a conference room with people, more people that and maintaining the distance requirement. So that's the reason for this item. Mr. Guerra, can you elaborate?
Yes, that is part of our additional work safety measures that we're implementing for our county staff. And again, as Mr. Silguero stated, this would be in common areas or shared spaces, as well as from one area to another area.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 13B, I'm going to read and let Mr. Guerra and our legal counsel discussion, consideration, and action regarding the County of Hidalgo's requirement for the general public to wear mouth and nose coverings when visiting county facilities, including county parking lots during the declared local state of disaster due to the public health emergency. This is beyond HR. Mr. Guerra, would you care to address that?
Thank you, Silguero. Again, this is part of implementing work safety measures, both for our constituents doing business with the County of Hidalgo, as well as our staff interacting with our constituents. Again, this is merely or in short, this is a work safety measure for all concerned.
I have a motion to approve.
May I ask why the parking lots is a part of this?
I'm sorry, Commissioner?
The parking lots, why we're including parking lots as part of this?
It's part of the county facility when interacting, going from the parking lot into the building and vice versa, along with the individuals that would be doing business with the county commissioner.
Okay. Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, item 13C for the Sheriff's Office, Fund 1227, Chapter 59 funds, The sheriff is asking approval of the following personnel action effective, there's a typo on the date, effective next full pay period, which is May 11th, 2020. And the action is to delete a vacant slot deputy sheriff position. That's it's just a delete.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 13D, Health and Human Services, COVID-19. This is a grant, and I think the Health Department got additional funding as an amendment to that grant, and so the item reads approval to create 4 temporary part-time positions for 26 weeks, beginning June the 8th, 2020, and ending December 4, 2020, for 4 temporary positions, COVID-19 analyst 1s. There's 4 as listed, slot numbers T, temporary 013 through temporary 016.
Move for approval.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item D2, this is asking approval to add COVID-19 analyst 1 position title to our classified position list.
Move.
Approval.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 13E, this is for the WIC Summer Food Program Grant, Fund 1292. Approval to create 6 temporary part-time positions for 11 weeks, beginning June 1st, 2020, and ending August 14, 2020. And the department is asking to create 6 positions titled Referral Resource Specialist, non-classified, and this is to participate in the Summer Food Program.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item F, the court recently approved the creation of a domestic relations office, and the office is asking approval. They're getting set up to begin operations. They're asking approval of the following personnel actions effective next full pay period. They're asking approval to create 2 positions, slot 003, executive assistant 1 at a grade 11, and slot 004, social worker, grade 14. These positions are funded through fees collected by that department.
So move.
Second.
And historically, have the fees been in a sufficient amount to pay for them, Raul?
Currently, we have been collecting fees for quite a while. Currently, there's a fund balance of about $600,000 from DRO and family protection fees that have been collected to date. So which is not in, once the department is up and running, they will be functioning and sustaining themselves through additional collections for child custody evaluations, parenting classes.
Okay, that's good. I like 600,000 fund balance.
Okay.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 2 on that item is approval to add social worker DRO position title to the classified position list.
Move for approval.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. Item G, 13G, is for Precinct 4, the Sanitation Department. The precinct and the commissioner is asking approval for the following personnel actions effective next full pay period. The commissioner wants to delete 1 slot, slot 0025, Sanitation Attendant 2, and instead create slot 0032, Truck Driver 2.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I had in HR. Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners.
Thank you very much. Item 14A, Urban County.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. PR Avila with the Hidalgo County Urban County Program. For item 14A, requesting approval of the amended Hidalgo County Urban County Program Citizen Participation Plan.
Move for approval.
Second.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Then item 14B, we have a public hearing. You want me to continue, Judge, or?
Let me see, has anybody signed up for a public hearing?
Not for this.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, for item 14B1, public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2020-2021 Hidalgo County Urban County Programs Annual Action Plan for Program Year 33. 2, requesting approval of and for submission of the fiscal year 2020 through 2021 Hidalgo County Programs Annual Action Plan for Program Year 33. 3, authorization for the county judge, Richard F. Cortez, to sign any and all documents related to the fiscal year 2020-2021 Hidalgo County Programs Annual Action Plan for Program Year 33. This is our yearly funding from HUD, which at this year for our CDBG program, HUD has actually granted us $7,750,673. Then for the home program, it's $2,119,531. And for our ESG, it's $646,426 for our 2020-2021 fiscal year.
Mr. Avila.
Yes, sir.
I'm going to ask legal counsel to
with respect to the public hearing.
Okay.
I do believe, though we don't have anyone who is called in, but I do believe that the public hearing must be open.
Right? I declare, let me declare the public hearing regarding the fiscal year 2020-2021 Hidalgo County Urban County Programs Annual Action Plan for Program Year number 33 is now open. Is there anyone here that would like to address us regarding this matter? Hearing and learning that there's no one here to discuss this matter with us, the public hearing is now closed.
Now you can move on to the item.
Okay, for item 14B2, requesting approval of the submission of the fiscal year 2020 through 2021 Hidalgo County Programs Annual Action Plan for Program Year 33. 3, authorization for County Judge Richard F. Cortez to sign any and all documents related to the fiscal year 2020-2021 Hidalgo County Programs Annual Action Plan for Program Year 33.
Move for approval.
I'll second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 14C, the Urban County Program is requesting approval to reject bids received for the City of Granjeno Public Facilities Improvement Project, bid number 5019-30-0300-5000-3000.
Move for approval. Second.
We have a motion to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Let the record show that I voted aye.
Judge,
With Commissioner.
I think we need to go back to item 14B. If somebody could make a motion to approve items 14B 1, 2, and 3, I don't believe that all of them were included in the presentation.
I make a motion to approve 14B 1, 2, and 3.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
Item 14D, subject to compliance with House Bill 1295, the Urban County Program is requesting consideration and action to award and enter into construction contract with H&R Lease Service LLC to the lowest responsible bidder in the amount of $242,460, utilizing Urban County funds from fiscal years 29 and 31 for the La Villa Water and Sewer Improvements Project.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We do item 14C? We did?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Avila.
Thank you.
Item 15A, Health and Human Services Department.
Good morning, Judge. This is Eddie Olivares, Hidalgo County Health. Item 15A, requesting approval to accept to have County Judge sign the Texas Epidemiology Capacity Expansion Grant Contract Number HHS 000436300016, Amendment Number 1. The purpose of the amendment is to revise the scope of work.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item B, sir, is requesting approval to accept to have County Judge sign the COVID-19 grant contract HHS 0007692000001, Amendment Number 1. And the proposed of amendment is to add $723,818 as stated in number 1, sir.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
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 Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item B2, sir, is requesting approval of the certification of revenues by county auditor in the amount of $723,818 in appropriations of the same.
Moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Olivares. I know you've been very busy here of late, and you're doing a good job with you and your staff. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Item 16A, Community Service Agency.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Jaime Longoria with the Hidalgo County Community Service Agency. It's discussion, consideration, and possible action to accept COVID-19 Comprehensive Energy Assistance Program LIHEAP allocation in the amount of $3,785,788 from the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs, with authorization for Jaime Longoria to electronically sign any and all pertinent documents. Judge and Commissioners, if you remember, just as this pandemic was starting to hit, we were notified that we would receive approximately 60 to 70% of our regular LIHEAP funding in order to be able to help families with their utility bills. This is on April 23rd of this past month. Actually, the Texas Department of Housing and Community Affairs their board voted to appropriate this money under item 7B. They haven't executed the contract, so I would ask the court to approve this pending legal review of the contract. But we like to certainly get busy and spend this money just from day one. So I'm asking the court to authorize this amount pending legal review. I will inform the court that our agency has been busy providing services to families across Hidalgo County. We're allocating anywhere from $60,000 to $80,000 per day. We're assisting families in various areas in addition to utility assistance. But this is what I'm asking for today.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Commissioners.
Elections Administration, item 17A.
Good morning, Judge. Good morning, Commissioners. Yvonne Ramon with Elections Department regarding election updates for number 1. I would just like to inform the Commissioners Court that on Friday, April 17th, Judge Tim Sullick of the 353rd State District Court ruled that Texas voters are eligible to apply for mail ballots under the disability provision of the Texas Election Code. But on that same day, Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton filed notice that he would appeal Judge Sullick's ruling to the Third Court of Appeals, and that's where that stands now. And as you know, Judge, because you received the same letter that I did on May 1st of 2020, we received a letter from Attorney General Ken Paxton stating that any advisement to voters not authorized by the election code could subject those third parties to criminal sanctions imposed by the Texas Election Code. And this is an offense if a person intentionally causes false information to be provided on an application for ballot by mail. So how does this affect our Hidalgo County voters? Well, there is a court order, there is pending litigation and a possible appeal, but this is what we are telling our voters and all those who call. The voter decides if they meet the disability mail ballot law. As long as the box under disability is checked off, we will process the application accordingly. Why? Because it's not up to the elections department to decide who is disabled or not. This election has never been questioned before. A voter has never had to send supporting documents to prove a disability. So if the voter checks off disability, and for example, would write coronavirus on the side, this writing would not determine an acceptance or rejection. It's the actual check off on the disability box. So if a voter does not check off disability, but writes an explanation, then this application would be rejected, just like it has always been done. So the decision has never been subjective, and it never will be. It's very straightforward. The box is checked off, the application will be processed. Any questions on that? So my next update is to let the court know that we've been with emergency management, the health department, and facilities management for guidance in regards to the needs for safety during elections. We're ordering supplies through emergency management, purchasing, and the budget department to obtain those supplies for the upcoming primary runoff. And there's a possible city of West Texas election in August. To prepare for this upcoming general election. Now, aside from being on the board of the Texas Association of Elections Administrators, please know that I am also a member of the Legislative Committee, as well as a member of the County Elections Official Advisory Group with the Secretary of State. That advisory group is made up of 27 election officials throughout the state, Texas Association of Counties, and as well as the director and the head of legal from the state. So please know that we are keeping abreast of the latest updates, and that as decisions are made, I will certainly let the court know. Before I go to item 2, are there any questions? Thank you. On item 2, discussion, consideration, and approval to pay any extra duty hours to be worked by the County Elections Department in preparation for any local, state, and federal elections and runoff elections that are to be held throughout 2020 in accordance with Hidalgo County Civil Service Commission rules.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item 3, discussion, consideration, and approval of the 2020 primary runoff early voting polling locations. This was attached. I hope you have that in front of you. These are the 28 permanent early vote locations that we have always had. Please know that we are working with each of the entities. For those entities that had us in a small area or a small room, we are working with them to change us to a larger area so that we can continue to practice social distancing and safety. Know that this primary runoff, of course, has 2 separate elections. And so, you know, it's become a challenge to make sure that each of the separate elections has the space available to be able to abide by the social distancing and safety rules. So we're working to make sure that not just the department election employees, but also the poll workers and the voters are safe during this primary runoff. It will start, early vote will start Monday, July 6th and end on Friday, July 10th. The primary runoff law changed a few years ago where the runoff is only 5 days. So it'll be Monday, July 6th through Friday, July 10th, with election day on Tuesday, July 14th. I will keep you abreast of any changes. We still have a couple of schools, especially the college, for example, UTRGV, that still has not approved. I know that the doors are closed, the students are not coming into school, as well as STC. So we're working with them to see if they will allow us to go into their facility to make sure that there are plenty of polling locations available so that, you know, there isn't overcrowding in just a few. So we will move forward with these polling locations, and I do require a vote to accept these 28 locations.
Move for approval.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, Yvonne. Number 18A. Week.
Judge, Commissioners, if I may, for WIC, this is the WIC COVID-19 funding program. This is Fund 1292. They're requesting approval to accept for fiscal year 2020 extra funding for COVID-19 in the amount of $69,114 for fiscal year 27 and amended contract effective March 1st, 2020. That's the first action item.
Move for approval?
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Second action item would be requesting approval of certification of revenues in the amount of $69,114 as certified by the County Auditor for fiscal year 2020 extra funding COVID-19 and appropriation of same.
Move for approval?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item 19A, our Planning Department.
Good morning, Judge Commissioners. TJ Arredondo with the Planning Department. The first item is a request for a pipeline and utility permit. A&M Management, Inc. is proposing to open cut Mile 3 North Road to install one 15-inch RCP Class 3 culvert pipe. Precinct 1 has reviewed the application, and both the precinct and the Planning Department recommend approval.
Move for approval.
Second?
Have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Next item is a preliminary approval with the variance request. Star Trail subdivision in Precinct 2 is a 14 multifamily lot subdivision in a flood zone B and AH. The AH will be revised via LOMAR based on fill before final approval. There's an estimated number of 3 streetlights, 2 filling stations. Drainage is provided by storm sewer, and detention will be provided by widening the existing drain ditch. It was approved by the City of FAR. Water is provided by North Alamo Water Supply Corporation, and sanitary sewer by the City of FAR. 1 internal street is to be paved. We recommend approval.
So moved.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
We can take the next 3 altogether. They're all for preliminary approval. First item is Rio Rico Ranchettes subdivision in Precinct 1. It's a 4-lot subdivision in a flood zone C. Drainage is provided by natural percolation and surface runoff onto Mile 3 North Roadside Ditch. It's in the rural area of the county. Water is provided by Military Highway Water Supply Corporation, and septic tanks will be used. The next item is RBR subdivision number 1 in Precinct 4. It's a 16-lot subdivision in a flood zone X. There are an estimated number of 4 streetlights, 2 filling stations. Drainage is provided by storm sewer and detention by widening the ditch. It's in the rural area of the county. Water is provided by North Alamo, and 1 internal street is to be paved. And the next item is Los Amigos Phase 2 subdivision in Precinct 1, a 26-lot subdivision in a flood zone X. There are an estimated number of 5 streetlights and 3 filling stations. It's in the rural area of the county. Water is provided by North Alamo, and septic tanks will be used. 1 internal street is to be paved. We recommend preliminary approval for all 3 subdivisions.
Approval.
Have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
The next item is up for final approval. Pueblo de Palmas Phase 23 subdivision in Precinct 4 is an 89-lot subdivision in a flood zone X. 21 streetlights have been installed, as well as 4 filling stations. Drainage is provided by storm sewer. It was approved by the City of Edinburgh. Water is provided by North Alamo, and sanitary sewer by the City of Edinburgh. 5 internal streets have been paved. We recommend final approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And the last item is final approval with a financial guarantee. Las Comadres number 7 subdivision in Precinct 3 is a 42-lot subdivision in a flood zone X. 10 streetlights were installed, as well as 4 filling stations. Drainage of the storm sewer system. It's in the rural area of the county. Water is provided by Agua Sud, and septic tanks have been installed. They are requesting final approval with a letter of credit number 290 in the amount of $72,826.92 for drainage improvements. We recommend approval.
Move for approval.
Second.
I have a question before we move on, just
okay.
before we finalize this. TJ, all of these have street lights, correct?
Yeah.
All of these subdivisions that are being developed have street lights, correct?
Yes, ma'am. Those final two have the streetlights installed. The other preliminary are just proposed. But yes, the final approved subdivisions have streetlights. Yes, ma'am.
Okay, it's because sometimes it indicates the number of street lights and sometimes it doesn't. The verbiage here. Okay, just checking.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners. Item 20A1, Secretary Cruz, Department of Budget Management.
What? Oh,
Did we take a vote on that last one?
no, we didn't take a vote on that one. Did you get your question answered, Commissioner? I wasn't.
Yes, sir.
I lost.
There,
Okay.
I'm sorry that some subdivisions do not require streetlights if they're, 1, 2, 3 lot subdivisions. That's why you don't see it all the time. If there's no internal street, then there's no, there's not always a case where there's streetlights in subdivisions. That may be the reason why you don't
We're
see it.
19-4. We're 19-4. We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. You're next, Secretary.
Secretary Cruz, Department of Budget Management. Item 20A1A is ratification of applications submitted for the CARES Act relief funds.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 20A1B is approval to accept the CARES Act relief funds received for the COVID-19 pandemic.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And item 20A1C is approval of certification of revenues certified by the county auditor for the revenues received from the U.S. Treasury related to the CARES Act relief funds and appropriation of funds in the amount of $4 million to fund expenditures related to COVID-19 pandemic.
So moved.
Second.
Are you sure we can do this? I mean, have you certified the intended expenses to be COVID-19 qualified?
We've looked at the guidance provided by the U.S. Treasury. There's no definitive guidance as far as on some of the expenditures that we're doing, as long as they're related to COVID and approved for public health or medical expenses. There's about 6 different line items, and these would be used for expenses related to COVID or expenses that have resulted because of the COVID-19 pandemic.
I feel very uncomfortable like this because we haven't discussed it together as a commission. And until we do, I feel very uncomfortable with it. But we have a motion and a second to approve it. If you all want to approve it, go ahead.
What if we take no action on it? Can you?
Well, hold on. So all we're doing right here is appropriating the money, and then we're further in the agenda, we're going to talk about the specific items.
Right now, the $4 million that we're requesting for appropriation are for $1.3 million that we have already expended in response to COVID, which is going to be for the PPE, the electronic equipment that we've been using for the telework, for the jails and the courthouse and for the different departments. That is something that we've already expended and we've brought to court for approval and are related to the COVID-19. We also have additional funds that we have for items that are listed on the agenda. And as you mentioned, Commissioner Cantu, yes, this would only be for the appropriation. It would not authorize the actual expenditure of that unless it gets brought to court.
Okay, so help me go through this, okay? It's an arbitrary number then, because we can very easily say, let's do 20 million. Let's go ahead and have it appropriated 20 million, but we won't authorize the spending of it until some later time. So this 4 million is really just arbitrary?
Yes, the 4 million is arbitrary. It's based on the funds that we spent already, and then those funds that are listed on the agenda that are being proposed to the commission for approval. So that's really only the amount that we put out there for certification.
Okay, but if it's arbitrary, then it's not based on anything. So you're telling me it's based on something, and then you're telling me it's not based on something, so it's either arbitrary or it's not arbitrary. I'm just trying to be clear.
Well, it's based on the expenditures that we already have incurred and those that we have contemplated to incur in this agenda item.
Okay.
Judge, if I may, because I know that there was a public participation on this, I'd like to read something into the record. If you look at the Coronavirus Relief Fund from April 22nd, 2020, one of the key things that I read in there, and I want to read it into the record, it says the statute also specifies that expenditures using fund payments must be necessary, in parentheses. The Department of the Treasury understands this term broadly to mean that the expenditure is reasonably necessary for its intended use in the reasonable judgment of the government officials responsible for spending the money. I think that's very important because it's up to our reasonable judgment, number one. Number two, if you look at Coronavirus Relief Fund frequently asked questions updated as of May 4th, 2020, which is on the Treasury's website, this one's huge. It's the very first question. Are governments required to submit proposed expenditures for Treasury for approval is a question. The answer is no. Governments are responsible for making determinations as to what expenditures are necessary due to the public health emergency related to COVID. They do not need to submit any proposed expenditures to the Treasury. I'm just reading this into the record so that I think that this defense that we make, it's up to us to make the reasonable decision. The Treasury is not going to answer or going to look at expenditures on a case-by-case basis. And this is for this item, but more for the items that we're about to look at here later on in the agenda.
Well, and I understand that. I understand that, Commissioner. My question I thought was really very simple. If this is an arbitrary number, then it's an arbitrary number. We can make it 4 million, we can make it 5 million, we can make it 10 million. Okay, and if it's an arbitrary number for the purposes of us complying with the rules of procurement and whatever, I don't have a problem with it. Okay, but if this item is specific to something, specific to some acquisition, then I have a problem of authorizing something without already having it approved by the board. I don't know why the timing of this comes first. Why does the timing of this comes before the actual passing of the item that we want to procure?
Why don't we do this? Take away your word arbitrary because you're including a legal definition, right? Why don't you just ask Sergio, explain to us what the $4 million is for without using the term arbitrary or non-arbitrary. Sergio, what are the $4 million for?
It's for reimbursement of the $1.3 million that we've already spent for PPE and for your computer equipment. It's for the purchase of 8 roll-off trucks. It's for the purchase of 20 digital display signs, all of which have those two, the roll-off trucks, the digital display signs, and roll-off containers have not been approved by court yet. They are on the agenda, but that's basically what those items are for.
How much does that
$4 million? That's what the $4 million is for.
It totals $4 million or real close to $4 million?
Real close to $4 million. We rounded it up because we know that there's additional PPE that's currently being tried to be procured by emergency management and the health department. So we did include additional funding. We rounded it up to the $4 million for that PPE.
I think that helps the judge. Judge.
Okay. So again, why did it come first in the agenda? Shouldn't we find out how many items we approved to be qualifying for COVID-19, and then once we know what that number is, we approve, then we go through this process. And that's the question that I'm asking.
Normally, just that's just the way the order came out in the agenda. I mean, most of the items are purchasing items, so they're after the budget. I mean, we could take hold off on action right now and then approve whatever agenda items you have. But normally,
then let me ask the lawyer, because again, I want to know what the proper procedure is. Josie, do you know, or does it matter?
We've done it both ways, Judge. We've appropriated after the fact and we've appropriated before approving the expenditure.
It's probably actually help the auditor, so that when we get to the item, the auditor, if we don't do this, the auditor is going to say there's no money appropriated for it. So
that's right. That's one of the concerns that they've raised previously, that money hasn't been designated or appropriated.
Okay, so then there is a reason to appropriate it first. So there is a reason to appropriate it first.
yes, normally we do appropriate the funds first, similar to when we received any other type of grant.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm sorry for taking so long. I wanted to make sure, because anytime that you're spending federal funds, you have to really know what the rules are before you spend them. So we have a motion.
Judge, one more thing I wanted to add. The appropriation doesn't tie you to the expenditure. The court hasn't taken action yet on how the money is going to be expended.
Okay.
I have a question. Can you all hear me? What if we don't approve the roll-off trucks and we've appropriated money for that?
Then the money will just sit in that account until the court finds an eligible expense that they would like to undertake. And if it's not going to be for that same object code, we transfer it to the appropriate object code. I mean, the funds won't get spent without court approval of that actual expenditure. It'll just reside in the budget for the COVID-19 relief funds.
Okay.
Okay, I believe we had a motion and a second to approve. So I'll call for the question. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay.
I'm for it. I'm sorry.
All right, I'll go with, is anybody in opposition of this? Okay, motion carries unanimously.
Item 22 is approval to undesignate funds in fiscal year 2020 for expenditures related to the flood control water extraction of 2018 in the amount of $68,490.11 and appropriation of the same.
Move for approval?
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 23 is approval of 2020 certification of revenues as certified by the county auditor for revenues received from TxDOT for the Thomas Road project and the amount of $39,039.38 and appropriation of the same to the Precinct 2 Eldora Road project.
Move for approval?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 24 is approval of 2020 unappropriation of funds from Fund 1345 in the amount of $5,041.84.
Move for approval?
Second.
You have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 25 is approval of 2020 appropriation of funds from Road and Bridge unassigned fund balance for Precinct 1 Road and Bridge for various programs in the amount of $475,427.71.
Move for approval?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 26 is approval of 2020 appropriation of funds from Road and Bridge unassigned fund balance for Precinct 2 road maintenance in the amount of $1,215,420. Sorry, let me say that again. $1,215,420.11.
Move for approval?
Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 27 is approval of 2020 appropriation of funds from Road and Bridge unassigned fund balance for Precinct 4 Road and Bridge in the amount of $1,235,000.
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 28 is approval to unreserve from the general fund family protection fee restricted fund balance and appropriate into the domestic relations office in the amount of $105,818.29.
So move.
Move for approval?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 20B is authorization to submit the economically disadvantaged county program application and affidavit for the FM 1925 road project from Wallace Road to 10th Street, CSJ 1803-01-094, with authority for the county judge to sign all required documents.
Move for approval?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 20C is approval of advanced funding agreement between Hidalgo County and the Texas Department of Transportation for the FM 676 road project from Trailer Road to FM 2220, CSJ 1064-01-043, and approval of order authorizing the county judge to sign the AFA for said project.
Move for approval?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 20D is approval for the county judge to sign the TxDOT oversight level special approval form A, local government qualification statement for the Mile 6 West Road project, CSJ 0921-02-286.
Move for approval?
Second.
All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And item 20E is approval of the advanced funding agreement between Hidalgo County and the Texas Department of Transportation for the FM 1925 road project from Wallace Road to 10th Street, CSJ 1803-01-094, and approval of order authorizing the county judge to sign the AFA for said project.
Move for approval?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge and Commissioners.
Thank you.
There is a question as to whether or not we took action or completed action under Urban County item 14C. So with Mr. Avila's permission, out of an abundance of caution, item 14C for Urban County read, the Urban County program is requesting approval to reject bids received for the City of Granjeno Public Facilities Improvements Project bid number 5019-30-030-5000-300 UCPSR. If the court could please take action once again, if we didn't.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Yeah, I didn't think we had taken action on that one.
Thank you. And so, Judge Commissioners, now that we're under item 21, Purchasing Department, is Ms. Salazar on the line? Or
Yes, I am.
okay, Ms. Salazar, there is one pending item that was under purchasing that was under consent, and that is item 11J.
Correct.
So if you could please bring that up, and then we will have consent completed. 11J.
Yes. 11J, agenda item 75390, moved from consent to regular. This is under precinct 2, approval to purchase 10 30 cubic yard heavy duty rectangular roll-off trucks, 22 feet long, through our membership and participation through the TASB Board Cooperative Purchasing Contract as stated on the agenda, in the amount of $52,048. And that is through Waste Quick Manufacturing Company, the awarded vendor under the budget.
I thought we're gonna have an item to discuss. I mean, I'll approve it, but there's another item similar that we're gonna be discussing. So do you want to take them in this order?
Commissioner, you can take them all at when that other item comes up then.
I would just say take the consent item at that time.
Okay. I will bring it up at that time. Going on to 21A1, we're requesting approval of work authorization 1 in the amount of $21,699.70 for the new Hidalgo County Surplus Facility for geotechnical and construction materials testing services with Robert Kistner. This is subject to funding through the Department of Budget and Management, if not already done so. I recommend approval.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item 2, and I believe I do see the gentleman's name awaiting to come on. This is a presentation by TCAP's representative, and I believe his name is Mr. Bill Starnes, to report on the status of the energy market and explain conditions that have impacted the pricing, including COVID-19, to assist members of Commissioners Court to determine and authorize a new target price, including the term of said bridge contract. Would be also approving the executive officer to sign when that target price is reached. A very short history before Mr. Starnes begins. Back on in March the 24th, the court had taken action to accept the target date at the target price, at 044, and that was as recommended through TCAP. Though 2 weeks prior, on the 12th of March, the market had hit that price. It seemed to be inching up, so that was why that action was taken. There is information on your agenda packet. You can see that since that date of March 24th, we have not been able to reach that target. It appears to be not foreseeably possible, but at this point, then I will hand it over to Mr. Starnes, if he's on the line, to explain to you the items I have attached for you on the attempts and efforts to get the rates that we are going to be discussing with the court. Mr. Starnes, I see that his mic is off. There, he's on now.
There we go. Yes, I'm here. So I'm not aware of what y'all have in front of you. I know you were discussing some of the prior rates that had been offered, and we did see that when y'all looked at the 4464 back in mid-March, that seemed to be a market dip that was only for about a week, it looked like, or a very short period of time. Since that time, we've seen the market go up a little bit, and so I think we're going to see the market stay about where it's at. I know there's been some discussion and some looks at different terms for a bridge contract, some stopping just this summer and some going out to the end of 2022. I would recommend at this point in time, based on everything we've seen in the market, to just the best price is the one that goes out to the end of 2022, and that would be the one that I think we would recommend. We've seen a lot of increase in pricing in 2021 in the last 2 or 3 weeks for reasons that I'm not totally sure I understand yet, but part of it is that natural gas prices, which serve as the underlying fuel for high demand generation in ERCOT, have gone up, and they've gone up in the last 2 months about 17 to 18% for 2021. Calendar year 2022 has not seen that much of an increase. So what we've seen is a kind of an increase in price in 2021. 2022, the price comes down a little bit and will continue to fall after that. So I think our recommendations are, we don't see a whole lot of reason for prices to go much lower, but we do see some factors in the market that could cause prices to go substantially higher. One is that we're looking at a very warmer than normal summer this summer in Texas, and especially in South Texas. And then number two, about 3 or 4 weeks ago, the Colorado State University hurricane forecast came out, and they're predicting an above average hurricane activity for this year, pretty substantially. So they're saying that a landfall of a major hurricane somewhere in the Gulf Coast from Florida to Brownsville is about 44% versus an average of 30%. So I think for those reasons, we see a lot of reasons that prices could go higher. I don't see a whole lot pulling the market down right now. And I would suggest if y'all are, would want to consider a bridge contract at the best price, it would probably be the one that extends to the end of 2022.
If I could interject, thank you for that report, Mr. Starnes. If you will look on your agenda items under background, those are the numbers he was referring to. It appears that a bridge contract commencing June 1st through December 31st of 2022. By the way, that is the date. That is when TCAP will go out again on the market. But right now, that 31-month bridge contract would be at 04864. Our target, as I said back in March, was 044. Anything shorter than that, as you can see in the background information of your agenda item, would be substantially higher.
And I would like to add in real quick, if I could, part of the reason for that is all of these bridge contracts, when you look at the period from now to the end of 2022, pricing in the electric markets is very high in the summer and very low in the winter. And that period of time covers only 2 winter periods, but 3 summer periods. So you're averaging 3 highs and 2 lows, and that's why the price comes out the way it does. And there's really no way around that at this point in time because of the fact that we're looking at this 31-month period. And no matter how you slice and dice it, you still have 3 high price periods and 2 low price periods included in
that. Therefore, the court will be open to the court's wishes as to which way they want to try to go today.
How do you get back in the cycle of entering into a contract in the winter months?
At the end of this one, you would be done at the end of 12/31/22. And at that point, yeah, you would be wanting to contract sometime in the fall or, prior to the summer months. And that's really where you're at right now, I think is probably the worst position you can be in. You're going right before the summer hits, and we're going to see 90-degree temperatures in Texas in the next week. And everybody's anticipating a very warm year, and prices are high because of it. When we finish this contract, we'll be in a low price period for the market.
So I'm trying to understand that if we have a short-term contract and get to the winter, which would mean we would have a contract for 3 or 4 months, then we would be in the winter again, trying to enter the market. Then we'd go into a longer-term contract. We would expire during the winter, which traditionally has been the lowest time to go in and get into the market. Why wouldn't a short bridge contract now get us to that, or that's not necessary?
It would, except for the fact that 2021 on future deliveries right now is priced very high. And I think a lot of that's due to the fact that we're looking at a very active hurricane season this year, and the prediction that the warmer than normal weather that we're supposed to have in 2020 is also going to extend into 2021. So there's a lot of high-priced anticipation built into pricing right now. If none of that materializes, 2021 will probably fall. But if it does materialize, 2021 could go higher. So it's a gamble as to which way it goes.
The retailers are buying from the producers, and the retailers are buying from the producers in anticipation that there will be demand for what they're buying. Do you think that after this pandemic and the loss of the jobs and the loss of revenues that a lot of people incurred, that there will be an increase in demand?
I don't think there'll be the increase we were looking for. And all I've been able to do so far is look at April, because that's all we have to really look at what has hit in this short-term pandemic. And April's usage in ERCOT was consistent with last year's usage, last April. So it didn't fall. Now they had forecasted higher than that. So it didn't meet forecast, but it did meet last year's usage. So I think what we've seen is that usage has not fallen off that much. And I think that makes some sense because a lot of people used to be in the office during the daytime and let their houses warm up. Now they're working at home and the offices are still being cooled for the people that are there, but now the houses are being cooled too all day long. So I think there's some offsets going on that are keeping demand higher than what a lot of us would have thought it would be.
And how about the credit worthiness of your commercial and residential accounts? Is that going to have an impact on demand?
I don't think so because people have to have electricity. I don't really think long-term people can get by without it. We may see some advent of some payment help programs come along. You know, we've had some short-term do not disconnect notice things put out because of this pandemic. And I think there'll be some efforts to try to help people pay bills, but I don't see too many people getting along a lot without electricity. And I'm really not familiar with how y'all have seen the last few weeks, but I know up here in Central Texas, everybody has bought every freezer in the world and they're going to need electricity to run those freezers. That's kind of a, anecdotal thing, but I don't see a lot of drop off, not as much as I would have thought, honestly.
Yeah, I have no other questions. I was just wondering whether any of that stuff was relevant, but it appears not to be.
Yeah, I think what we'll see, if anything, is some payment help programs because I don't think most folks can go through the summer. You know, when the summertime hits, the utilities are basically told don't disconnect people anyway because it's just too hot. So I think what we'll see probably is some payment assistance programs emerge. That would be my guess.
So Marty, what is your recommendation?
I really recommend at this point that we go through the bridge of 6/120 through 12/31/22. I think it should be in line with what has been the consistent pricing in the last month or two. I know that as discussed at the review meeting and Mr. Cruz commented with the lower use of fuel, we may be able to absorb some of that increase on lower expenditure of fuel in our budgets. In the short term, of course.
Okay, does anyone want to make a motion to accept Marty's recommendation? Or have a different motion?
I make a motion to approve her recommendation.
Second.
Okay. Any further discussion?
What was the rate?
All those in favor, please.
The rate is going to be 0.04864. And if you'll recall, our target was 0.44.
What was it before?
Prior to March, well, we had it at 0.37 and other numbers. It's going up 0.011. The bridge contract we had from November through May, which was effective December 1st, was at 0.378 something.
And that was a winter only contract, so it was going to be low priced.
Anyone else? We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mr. Starnes, thank you very much for your input. And thank you for your patience in waiting your turn.
Not a problem. Thank you. Bye.
Moving on to item number A3. This is presentation let me summarize it. It's a presentation for Commissioners Court to nominate from the approved pool of architects, engineers, geotechnical, and also MEP down the line of pools for the proposed construction of a laboratory and the placement of modular buildings to be leased and or repaired, renovated on site at the Department of Health and Human Services property, which is on the frontage road of Edinburgh, Texas, commencing with the architects. You have attached to your agenda the approved pools of engineers. And as I said, we request under our protocol that you nominate at least 3. You can do more than those if you so choose. Under the architects, we do have 15 on the page that we have approved right now.
So should we all just throw one name out there and then see if we have a consensus on 3, or what do you think? How do you think we should do it?
That was a question for Marty.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Marty.
I'm so sorry. Yes, yes. Any way you wish to do it, and like that we can.
We're trying to get to 3 or more. We're trying to get to
One
3 or
permit
more.
at a time. I apologize.
Marty, we're trying to get to 3 or more, correct?
That's correct.
Well, authorize Laura Warren's name. Sorry, Dave. I maybe should have gone in order.
You said Laura Warren?
Yes.
Yeah, that's one of mine. PRO.
And I'll select to nominate HDR.
Commissioner Flores. We have Laura Warren, PRO, and HDR. Are you fine with that, Commissioner? You want somebody else?
I'm fine with that.
Judge?
I'm good with that.
Okay, if I could have action.
I'll make a motion to that effect.
Second.
Okay, moving on to the next.
Hold on. I've got to call a vote.
Sorry.
You want to just take them all and we'll vote at the end? Josie, it'd be easier.
That's fine.
Okay. Is that okay, Commissioner? We'll just take it at the end.
Good with me.
Okay. Civil engineering.
I'd like to nominate GDJ Engineering.
What number is that, Commissioner, so I can be sure?
Civil engineering.
On civil engineering.
We're going on civil.
Right.
And what number on the page is it?
It's the same, item 3. Because we nominated the architects, now we're moving to nominating the civil engineering.
Oh, yes, ma'am. And what I meant was on the attachment under the civil, there's 2 pages of engineers. There's 44. I thought you had.
It's number 29.
Number 29. Thank you very much.
Oh, sorry.
That's fine. GDJ Engineering. Okay.
I'll go with Sam's. SAMES. I don't know the number.
Correct.
14.
I did hear that one. Yes. That's number 14, I believe.
That's correct.
One more?
13, Javier Hinojosa.
Okay. Any other nominees?
Go ahead, Marty. I think that's it.
All right, going on to geotechnical and construction materials testing. You have the list. Let me get to mine. On that one, we are limited to 7 on your list.
Commissioner Flores, you have somebody?
Not really. Anybody be all right?
Judge, anybody in particular?
Nope.
I'll go with Terracon.
I'd like to nominate Millennium.
Okay, one more, please.
B to Z.
All right.
That's good.
Shall we take all those three to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve those three as described.
Under architect, civil, and geotechnical construction materials, correct?
That's correct.
Right. Is there a second?
So it's clear you're approving item 21A3, subparts A, right?
Part A, which has three disciplines.
3 subcategories for architect, civil engineering, and geotechnical.
Correct.
3A for architect, civil engineering, and geotech and construction material testing.
Correct.
Okay. We have a motion. We have a motion and a second to approve those that were listed. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
If I may ask, on the designation of the committee, will they'll be the same committees for all of them, so that we could just do it once, or are there going to be different committees?
I'm fine with my chief.
Yes.
All 5 chiefs?
Yep.
And for mine, it'll be Ms. Belinda Reyes.
Thank you, Commissioner. All right, that's item B, if I could have action.
I'll move.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, on item C, this is nomination of at least 3 firms of the approved current pool of engineering services with a specific specialization of MEP, mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, as it relates to the building, as it relates to the anticipation of the purchase of generators for 6 health department clinics. This would be to make sure the current status of those clinics, anything that may need to be reviewed as far as their loads, their electrical panels, etc. So the purchases, each one will be individually assessed. And under your approved pool, it's under your engineering pool, and you will see that there are a total of 9 firms that have the discipline of MEP. They have a check mark by them. So I would need to nominate, for you all to nominate 3. On page 1, you have 3 fulcrum, half.
Yeah, Marty, we're prepared. We have this.
Okay.
Our chiefs did a good job. Fuentes, you have somebody?
I'm good with half.
Commish, Flores?
Go with Alpha.
And I'll go with Ethos, ETHOS, Ethos.
Okay. Okay, you want to take action on that?
Make a motion to approve those 3 names.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye. All opposed? Motion carries.
On D, it'll be the chiefs plus for precinct 4, Belinda Reyes. Is that correct, Commissioner?
Actually, on this one, I'll go ahead and put my other chief, Dr. Culbertson.
So it's all the chiefs. Okay. If I could have a vote, please.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
On item E, this is nomination of at least 3 firms from your structural engineer pool, which is for the remodel and repair of the modular building that will be moved from Sullivan City that we inherited or were donated by the Mission Hospital a couple of years ago, which will also be placed on site at the health department.
Okay. I'd like to nominate Javier Hinojosa, engineering.
Commish or Judge?
I'm good with whatever you all decide.
You have somebody, Eddie?
Chanine?
Did you say Chanine?
I did.
Okay.
Consort, it's number 16, I think.
Number what?
16.
Number 6. Okay. Consort. Okay.
Hold on real quick. Commissioner Torres, did you say Hinojosa or Javi Hinojosa?
Oh, it's.
Javier Hinojosa.
That's the only one they have.
I don't think Javier is a structural. Is he on the list?
He's not under structural.
No, he's not.
Maybe it's
under
Hinojosa.
highway.
I'm sorry, maybe it's Hinojosa engineering.
Hinojosa engineering. Okay. Make that.
Okay.
I think it's Hinojosa. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Made the correction, Commissioner. Thank you.
So I make the motion to approve those three names.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And on F, is it all the chiefs again?
Yes.
For the committee?
On that one, I'm gonna go ahead and put Miss Letty Signs, only so I can disperse some of the work. I'm gonna put Miss Letty Signs on for me, for precinct 4.
Duly noted, Commissioner. Thank you. Can I have action, please?
Motion to approve that.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Going on to item B, this is for Health and Human Services, requesting approval to accept a proposal from HERCON in the amount of $49,871.66 through the by board contract award to remodel and repair the countywide modular building in connection with installation of electrical source utility services for the same building on site. That's A. And B, if I could take them together, would be also to accept a proposal from HERCON, and that would be for $70,208.43. That would be also for the repair and remodel of that modular home, modular building, sorry.
Marty, I have a question. Were you able to get any clarification as to whether or not we could use cooperative purchasing for the CARES Act expenses?
Was I able to get any other than
I know you had made contact with the Treasury Department.
We have not had anything back in writing. We're expecting that. But at this point, now I know in the conversation that was general as it was anything related to the COVID. And also they even mentioned as it was related to any emergency declaration. Those funds could also be applicable. But as I said, we want to make sure that we get it back in writing. At this point, we have not. This would be related though to the easing of congestion from the health department to accommodate all the new positions related to COVID.
No, I don't think that's a question. I think we all know that it qualifies. I think she's talking about co-ops, right? Joseph?
Right, that's correct, Commissioner. So under FEMA, we've got to comply with 2 CFR 200 for reimbursement. Under the CARES Act, it's not clear at this time if a reimbursable expense requires us to comply with those same provisions.
That's correct, Ms. Josephine. We have not received it in writing, but as soon as I do, we could do it subject to that.
Yep.
So right now they're telling us so long as we comply with our state procurement requirements, which compliance with our use of a buy board is acceptable. The issue is going to be whether or not we have to comply with 2 CFR 200 on these purchases, and under that case, it is not acceptable.
Okay.
So that's
under the state requirements. Yes, cooperative purchasing programs are compliant with procurement law.
Marty, Josie, when y'all get a chance to look at, and I didn't see it, but I wasn't looking for it. The frequently asked questions updated on May 4th, 2020. There's There's about 20 of them, so it may be.
I will, and we will follow up and trying to get also some clarification on our direct call. So I will do it subject to that compliance issue, if that's permitted, Ms. Josephine.
I'm going to suggest that if you do take action on this item, that you do it subject to final legal approval, and we may have to come back on it.
So move. Subject to legal.
Second. And motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 2A is authority to purchase items and/or services, including but not limited to those identified, described in Exhibit A attached here and related to COVID-19, as permitted under the CARES Act guidelines, utilizing all procurement methods as stated on the agenda, including but not limited to state, federal, local awarded contracts and/or through memberships with cooperative purchasing programs, and when statutorily necessary, sealed competitive procurement methods with advertising if required, or through the exemption from competitive bidding process as approved by Commissioners Court on April 21st, through the requisition and purchase order protocol and processing, including but not limited to the following: the 6 items listed: generators, patient health information system, electronic medical record system, testing kits and related supplies for COVID, upgrades to or replacement of equipment, systems, and building for the Dow County Autopsy Facility, and laboratory furniture, fixtures, and equipment, and related supplies and accessories.
Make a motion to approve. It's not on.
Are we gonna do this one legal as well?
I would recommend you do that as well on this item.
Make a motion subject to legal.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item B is approval to dedicate and assign all vacant property land directly, east of the site of the current Hidalgo County Health and Human Services Facility and the new Justice Center to be constructed for the purposes as sites for the new state-of-the-art laboratory, leased modular buildings to house department existing new staff, and to move and relocate from Sullivan City a county-owned 30 by 50 modular building configured as a clinic, which will include the needed renovations and repairs.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Valde, are you there?
Second.
Yeah, we have a motion second, but Valde, are you there?
Yes, sir.
I mean, are we doing a thorough, comprehensive, what do you call it? Planning on all this, because that's an old building, and we're adding stuff to the back.
Well, it's my understanding that it's going to be the portables and that part of the grant that Mr. Olivares, the health department, got, which was part, if I'm not mistaken, part of the $723,000 for COVID. That's where they were getting the funds from for the 2 portables. I do know that we have to comply with all City of Edinburgh codes. And so there's that process that we still have to undertake with the City of Edinburgh.
Okay. But you're paying attention to this?
Yes, sir.
All right. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item B3, authority to enter into an agreement with William Scotsman, the Hidalgo County's membership in the Educational Service Center of Region 4 Cooperative Awarded Vendor Omnia Partners. Contract is stated on the agenda. This is going to be for an amount of, I'm going to state it for the agenda, it is not what it's posted. It's going to be $105,153.96. That translates to 12, and this is for 12 months. That's another item I want to insert on the record, at $4,659.56 a month. The setup and the delivery is going to be $49,229.24, bringing the total to $105,153.96. And this is for the lease of the mobile office trailer, as we discussed earlier.
So I'm going to suggest on this item as well that you approve it subject to legal. There are some specific requirements that we have to include in any agreement that we expect to have covered under the CARES Act, and we haven't seen it yet.
Right, I have that as a note to make. Thank you, Ms. Joseph.
If I make a motion subject to legal?
Second.
A motion and a second, subject to legal. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item C for the Sheriff's Office pursuant to Texas Local Government Code 263-152, discussion and approval to declare as surplus law enforcement equipment as listed on the Exhibit A attached here too.
Oh,
Second. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item B is requesting authority to remove and said personal property from the Hidalgo County Sheriff's inventory list.
so moved. Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item C, in accordance with Texas Government Code 791-001 through 003, Articles 2 and 3, requesting approval of an interlocal agreement between Hidalgo County and the City of Alton for the mutual benefit and assistance in connection with surplus law enforcement equipment and accessories, subject to legal review. I believe that's already been done, but in any case, it would be subject to their review.
Approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item D, under Executive Office of Acceptance and Approval, subject to submitted by RL Abatement Incorporated for the project number as stated. It is an awarded vendor through the TIPS contract, which is our cooperative, for asbestos removal and disposal, subject to line items and price verification.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
Item E1 for Precinct 1, requesting approval to purchase the following heavy equipment through the county's participation in the TASB Buy Board cooperative contract, and that is with Doggett machinery equipment as stated on the agenda. One 2019 Dynapack, $124,500, and one 2020 John Deere backhoe loader, $90,000.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Under F1 for Precinct 3, the precinct has asked no action on this item.
No action.
Item under F2, requesting approval of a public purpose declaration with all the specifics as stated on the agenda for Precinct 3. And the exhibits
Approval.
attached therefore, there too.
Move for approval.
We have a motion and a second to approve. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 3 is requesting approval for Hidalgo County Auditor to process initial checks in the amount of $1,725 prior to services being rendered pursuant to the ABA, which is the Architectural Barriers Administrative Rules, as stated on the agenda, to Mr. Anthony Kovacevic, Registered Accessibility Specialist, as designated through the Texas Department of Licensing and Regulation in order to permit the processing of the filing plan review and inspection for Mile 3 North Project.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
Precinct 4, item G1, approval of an amendment as drafted through the civil section of the Hidalgo County DA's office to the current contract between Precinct 4 and SDI Engineering in connection with the Lynn San Manuel Veterans Memorial Park. It has been uploaded onto the agenda and it is approved subject to compliance to 1295.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item B is approval to appoint the recommended evaluation committee members as listed below for construction of that Lynn San Manuel Memorial Veterans Park to grade and score the competitive sealed proposals received. Commissioner has nominated 3. I don't know if she wishes to add anyone else at this time.
I think I'm good. Those 3 will suffice. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Commissioner.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 2 is acceptance and approval of work authorization 1 with an estimated cost of $9,909 as submitted by LNG to provide environmental services for FM 1925 and North Alamo Road project.
Move for
approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
H1 for county clerk requesting approval to continue the preservation of deed and official records to the volume as stated with Tex Math awarded contract Co-File Technologies Incorporated under contract stated on the agenda in the amount of $501,480.
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item I1 for IT requesting approval to purchase Deep Discovery Inspector software hardware appliance through NetSync Network Solutions under the TIPS contract in the amount of $81,056.20.
No. It's different.
Move for approval.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item J1, approval to purchase 8 2020 Mack GU 533 roll-off trucks through the county's membership and participation with Purchasing Cooperative of America under contract number as stated. And that is with Big D Tractor LLC in the amount of $1,322,887.80. This would go in line with the item that was taken from the consent agenda 11J. And would you wish for me to read that into the record again?
Let's do them in order. Which one needs to go first, the consent or this one?
We can do this, the one I just read first, if you wish. The one
I want to put on the record right away. If y'all want to buy this roll-off, buy the roll-off. But I just don't believe that we need to pay them with COVID-19 money. There's still information coming in as to how much money we're going to have and where to use for it. And until we're very clear on that, I would be afraid to make a substantial amount of investment of $1.3 million from COVID money. So if y'all want to buy these roll-offs because you need them, buy them, but don't use COVID-19 money. At least that's my recommendation.
How does it qualify under COVID-19? I guess that's the uncertainty for me. Judge, Commissioners, this is Sergio, the Budget Office. Right now, we're looking at based on the guidance under public health expenses. It does allow for expenses for public safety measures undertaken in response to COVID-19. As we know, school have closed. There was a stay-at-home order also that was passed, which is no longer in effect, but could be brought back into effect at any future time. That resulted in additional disposal at each of the precincts, at least as I've been told, which precipitates the need for additional equipment to be able to dispose of the household trash on a timely basis so that it won't create any additional public health emergencies.
So if I was going to cross-examine you, and I was going to ask you to prove the statement that you made, you says how much trash have you picked up in the past? How much trash did you pick up now? And why was the reason that, is this a temporary situation, or is this situation going to be in perpetuity? If it's going to be, so if it's only a temporary situation, was there an alternative way for you to pay and pick up for this trash?
There was a 25% increase in disposal based on the records that I received from Precinct 4 from April of last year to April of this year, those months. So there has been an uptick in the disposal and the number of individuals using our collection sites. As far as whether this will be important.
Well, I'll stop you right now, Senator. I'll stop you right now because you're not going to change my mind until I see an objective analysis that proves to me that this is a necessary expenditure and it was totally directed or attributable to COVID-19. I just cannot in good conscience approve the payment of these roll-offs using that kind of money. We have a lot of consequences that resulted from this COVID-19. There's educational consequences, health consequences, religious consequences, and we have money to help people and compensate people for what they were damaged. And I want to make sure that that money that we have is used for that intended purpose. And I'm not sure that this is a good investment to put in that kind of money for this kind of stuff. But if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. That's why there's 5 of us. But I certainly believe that I ought to have a little bit more than just conversation or subjective thinking. I think I need to have objective evidence that shows that you can clearly prove that it was from this and that it was necessary.
Judge, I thought he was making the point to, I guess, to document our file. I thought he was doing that and kind of interrupted him. But so one of the biggest points is, in Precinct 4 is the main, and I don't want to speak for them, but they're the ones that are noticing the most trash, the uptick in trash. And so what has changed this late March and April? What's the difference between now and before? Well, the difference is everybody's sheltering at home, and for whatever reason, that's causing more trash. And so we've needed more bins. We're trying to get some more bins. But at the same time, the only way we can get the trash out of there fast enough is to have more trucks. And so this basically comes down to our judgment. If we make a reasonable judgment that this is going to help us prevent a health hazard at our collection sites. I hope that the shelter in place will not come back, but we don't know that. I mean, I wish we knew what's going to happen in the future. But everything's saying that this can continue. One of the other things that we evaluated was renting trucks. To not go through this expense, we looked at renting trucks. But the rental of a truck was going to cost about 1/3 of the cost of buying it. So I did, a 3-year. So you're basically looking at in 3 years, the rental amount would cover the truck cost when these trucks last 10 years or more. So we evaluated the rental, and that's why we considered buying them. But that's the reason that this is going to the CARES Act.
Well, I'll be happy to debate that issue at a later point in time, but I can tell you that what I'm reading is not as simply as usage of discretion. I don't think the federal government had that intent that we would leave it up to discretion of people. And right now, I can tell you that the government is going to be looking for us to share this money that we got with other cities because only counties that had 500,000 people or more receive money. Counties like Cameron County, like Nueces County didn't get any money. So now they're rethinking as to the allocator of those funds. I'm just definitely afraid to spend that kind of money at this point in time, not knowing exactly where we can use it and exactly where the greater need is. I understand that there's a need for us to pick up trash, But if shelter in place was a temporary situation, we're no longer in shelter in place. So why are we buying an asset that's going to last 5 years in anticipation that we may need it again? To me, that makes absolutely no sense.
But Judge, this is the first time I hear from you that you think that we're not going to go back into shelter in place. So I guess that's the great news. But everything that I've read and that I see is that, we should be expecting a spike. But I mean, we can bring this back, and we bring it back when there's a spike, or what do we do? I guess the way you analyze this is, do we have more trash because of COVID or not? Yes or no? I mean, it's an analysis, right? And so you analyze, are we incurring an expense because of COVID or not? Yes. If the answer is yes, then you look further. But because other people may need money, right now the money's been sent to us. It was sent by ACH debit. It's in our account. We're supposed to expend it on stuff that's more than what we budgeted. We didn't budget for this. So you want to use unbudgeted money to pay for this? Just so that I'm clear.
Can I just share the experience over at Precinct 4? We did see a significant increase in the amount of trash that was being brought in. In a month alone, we had an additional 4,000 visits in comparison to 2019. At that time, I know I did reach out to Sergio, and I was inquiring about leasing a short term and possibly, getting I think Precinct 2 came out and helped us. Not only did we have an increase in trash, but as well as brush. And as people were at home, they were cleaning out and disposing, and as well as their properties and so forth. And we encouraged that, but at the same time, we were having a buildup. And so I know that I had reached out to Sergio, and I was looking into a short-term lease of maybe 5-6 months and so forth. Of course, he was going to look into whether that was cost-effective to lease or plain out purchase. So I can tell you that I know that I am responsible partially for instigating this, but that was the need at the time because of the trash productions in the homes versus the trash staying at the school or at your restaurants. Will this come back again? Can we look at this more so as be ready for leases of these types of trucks in the future, or it's worth buying one in preparation for that? Not only that time, but hurricane season is upon us, and people are clearing out their brush and so forth. So just thought I'd throw that out there.
How is, Judge, I'm responding to your comment about something that lasts 5 years. Aren't we also looking at, permanent brick and mortar type projects that are in response that are going to last longer than that? I'm just wondering if the time frame is really a consideration in this, or if it's actually the response and making the best use of the money.
Yeah. Commissioner, I don't want to debate the need for the roll-up trucks. You all or the commissioners, you all decide whether you need roll-up trucks or not. You have 4 precincts. If all of you are equal and all of you equally need 2 roll-up trucks, and that's your decision, buy them. You have a budget, buy them. What I've taken exception for is not the buying of the roll-up trucks. What I'm taking exception for is the use of COVID money to pay for them. Because I do not believe that this is a legitimate expense for COVID-19 money. I may be wrong. And if I am wrong, we have time to buy it and spend it for this thing. All I'm asking is let's wait until we know for sure how much money we have to spend, where the greatest needs are, and then decide how to spend it. For us to start spending $1.3 million right off the bat for 8 roll-off trucks, okay, for purpose of COVID-19, to me, doesn't make any sense. But I'm only 5 of you. I mean, there's 5 of us that make a decision. If you disagree with me, which you've had in the past, do so again.
I wasn't the one that put this on here, and I mean, we did see a big increase in our volume and in our traffic, and like I said, I'm not opposed to this if it's a valid expense, but who did the research on whether it qualifies?
Again,
Sure.
Commissioner, we reviewed the guidance that was provided by the U.S. Treasury. We met as a group, and each of us determined that was sort of fell within that guidance, and that's why the item was placed on the agenda.
But did the Treasury give us guidance, or who gave us guidance?
The Treasury gave us.
Hold on a second. We met as a group. Okay. Right. I thought the governing board of this commissioner's court is made up of 4 commissioners and a county judge. So
That's
who
right.
is it exactly that decides what to do or what it is or not? I'm not sure now, but I understand that.
No, the commissioner's court is a governing body, and they decide what gets purchased and what does not get purchased.
Which I think that's what we're doing now.
Correct.
Which I think is what we're doing now.
That's correct.
So when did you allow me to be participating in that conversation as to get my opinion whether I thought it qualified for the spending or not? When did you ask me for that?
We didn't ask any of the members of the commissioner's court to participate. It was the chiefs of staff. So your chief of staff, and I believe your assistant chief of staff was part of that meeting, as well as all the chiefs of staff of the rest of the commissioners. Yep. So we met to sort of discuss what projects. But the chief of staff doesn't vote for me. I'm the one that decided here today. Correct. It was to bring forth the proposals for the court to consider, and that's sort of what the group met and sort of discussed.
Can we table this item and get more data and more of the guidance from the Treasury, whether this is an allowable expense? I think I would feel safer in that aspect. Again, I know that my initial thoughts were it was a short-term lease for the time that we had the effects of the COVID with all the illegal dumping and the increase in trash and brush and so forth. So we can table this.
I don't have a problem with that. I think that one of the things we need to look at, which we looked at during this meeting, which I got during this meeting, was the frequently asked questions submitted to the Treasury and the Treasury's response. But there's no problem bringing this back at the next meeting. But it's going to say in there, it says, are governments required to submit proposed expenditures to Treasury for approval? And the answer is no, that's coming from the Treasury. But I don't have a problem tabling so we can make a more informed decision.
Okay, so I make a motion to table this item.
Commissioner, this is Valde. Commissioner, if that's the wishes of the court, then it would be a no action.
Okay, no action.
Thank you.
No action.
I make a motion to take no action.
Valde, when are we going to have Commissioner's Court again? 2 weeks?
Yes, our next scheduled Commissioner's Court is the 19th, May 19th.
Okay, can you all get information on that from the Treasury Department?
Yes.
All right.
If I may get a clarification, are we taking no action just on 1, but also 2 and the consent agenda item that was moved to be considered under regular? All those are COVID expenses related.
No, Marty, one at a time. We're talking about the roll-offs.
Okay.
All the conversation was specific to roll-offs.
All right.
Well, the reason I took no action on those Peterbilts is because we were getting 248 here. For 2 for each precinct. And
right.
No problem.
So the only action we're tabling J1, so you can call J2.
Okay. J2 would be countywide also. Approval to purchase 20 full matrix electronic message boards through our membership through the TASB by Board Cooperative under contract number as stated on the agenda. That's with Buyers Barricades in the amount of $337,020.
So moved.
Commissioner, the issue again on this particular item is the use of a by board cooperative. We have not gotten any direction as to whether or not we're going to be allowed to make purchases through by board under the CARES Act.
So subject to legal?
Yes.
Yes.
Make a motion subject to legal.
Second. Subject to legal.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Then agenda item number 75390 under consent 11J. This is approval to purchase 1030 cubic yard heavy duty rectangular roll-off containers, 22 feet long, through the TASB Buy Board Cooperative awarded vendor Waste Quick Manufacturing, the amount of $52,048.
Is there a second?
Again.
And again,
Do
that
we have
would
a
be
motion?
subject to legal.
Subject to legal, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Make a motion subject to legal.
Subject to legal.
We have a motion and a second, subject to legal. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. That's all I have.
Judge, there is, we've already addressed open forum, and you do have item 23, which we can take up after closed session.
Okay, pursuant to chapter 551 of the Texas Government Codes, 551.071, 551.072, 551.074, and 551.087. We would be retiring into closed session to discuss those items. So this, if I have a motion to do so.
So moved.
Again.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned.